Welcome to Shakaama Politics. I'm going to go over Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's pick for vice president. I want you to know about this guy and know who she's picking. Now, all of the probably mainstream media is probably going to tell you he's boring and he's a perfect pick because he's not going to outshine Hillary Clinton. Well, the truth of the matter is far from those statements. So here we go. Here's probably a lengthy video about the potential vice president pick for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton picks Tim Kaine, Virginia senator and former governor, as her running mate. Welcome to Shakaama Politics. This is not Shakaama Politics, but this will be the type of video that will be appearing on Shakaama Politics. Go over there and subscribe to boost up that channel, and I will be, once I get that rolling, all of these videos will be on Shakaama Politics. Hillary Clinton has tapped Virginia Senator Tim Kaine as her running mate, adding a well-liked swing state moderate with broad governing experience to the Democratic ticket. Clinton's choice of Kaine, 58, reflects her calculation that votes with doubts about both her and Republican nominee Donald Trump will respond to a doubling down of her pitch for sober pragmatism instead of political wildcard. Clinton tweeted late Friday that she was thrilled to announce Kaine as her running mate, calling him a man who's devoted his life to fighting for others. Other tweets from her: Tim Kaine is a relentless optimist who believes no problem is unsolvable if you put in the work to solve it. But Kaine, a former mayor, lieutenant governor, and governor, is not likely to animate a Democratic base drawn by the progressive fire of Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. A finalist to be President Obama's running mate in 2008, Kaine was long considered a frontrunner for the number 2 spot this time. Kaine, a Spanish speaker who worked with Jesuit missionaries in Honduras during a break from Harvard Law School, was also a civil rights lawyer before being elected to the city council in Virginia's capital of Richmond, where he later became mayor. He won statewide elections 3 times in what had long been a Republican-leaning Commonwealth, for lieutenant governor in 2001, governor in 2005, and U.S. Senate in 2012. Former aides attribute his success as much to his authenticity and affability as to his keen political acumen. He still often carries a harmonica that he has been known to whip out on the campaign trail. During his 2005 race for governor, he met Obama, and they bonded over shared family roots in Kansas and messages of changing politics. Kaine was among the first statewide officials to endorse Obama's presidential run and keep support in Virginia, a closely fought state that would swing Democratic for the first time in generations. Obama named Kaine as chairman of the Democratic National Committee in 2009, and he served in the role until launching his Senate bid in 2011. Kaine again endorsed early in this presidential race, this time for Clinton, even before she had taken steps toward a second run. Just as with Obama, Kaine has talked of Clinton's own barrier-breaking candidacy in 2016. Speaking with donors in California this week, he described the role of vice president in the first female presidency as historic. Kaine, who married the daughter of former Republican governor of Virginia, is at odds with his party's mainstream in some issues. A devout Catholic, Kaine has said he considers himself personally anti-abortion and he supports some restrictions on the practice. But he has maintained support for Roe v. Wade, and as a senator has earned perfect vote rating from leading abortion rights groups. What are you eating? One major selling point of Clinton was Kaine's credentials on gun control, which has emerged as a key issue for her and which Obama has identified as a litmus test for his support. As governor during the shooting massacres on the campus of Virginia Tech in 2007, Kaine partnered with the GOP legislature and Virginia's Republican Attorney General to strengthen the state's background check system. Vice President Joe Biden joined Kaine in the aftermath of the Newton, Connecticut shooting to highlight those reforms as a template for what could be accomplished to the national level. Kaine has noted that they were implemented in the state, or the powerful National Rifle Association lobbying group, which opposed key bipartisan legislation is headquartered. After taking office in 2013, Kaine quickly worked to address what had been cited as his main shortcomings during the vetting to be Obama's running mate: lack of foreign policy experience. As a member of the Foreign Relations and Armed Service Committees, Kaine became an outspoken advocate of passing a new authorization to use military force against Islamic State, even as the Obama administration insisted military action against the new terrorist network was sanctioned by a separate legislation passed after the September 11 attacks. Quote, he really championed it, was persistent on it, said Representative Adam B. Schiff, a Democrat of Burbank, who worked closely with Kaine on drafting legislation they each introduced in their respective chambers. You could tell it was a matter of deep principle for him. I think that kind of principled conviction and determination is a great quality to have in a vice president. On another Obama priority, the landmark nuclear agreement with Iran, Kaine worked with Republican and Democratic skeptics of the deal in legislation that would ultimately provide a mechanism for Congress to vote to approve or reject it. Quote, he understood that Congress needed to have a role in spite of the fact that the administration itself was not pleased or interested in that, said Senator Bob Corker, Republican of Tennessee, the Foreign Relations Committee chairman and co-sponsor of the legislation. Because of his closeness to the administration, that really gave it a lot of momentum. Senator John McCain, chairman of the Armed Services Committee, also praised the very important role Kaine had played on his panel, saying his work has been bipartisan. Such praise from Republicans is typical of Kaine, who has worked with a bipartisan group of former governors in the chambers. Quote, he is a problem solver who is more interested in getting things done than ideological purity of purely partisan point scoring. Senator Angus King, an independent from Maine and also a former governor, wrote in an op-ed encouraging Clinton to choose his colleague. Allies say he brings a number of assets to the ticket, including a personal style that could boost a Democratic standard bearer with low personal favorability ratings. Quote, he has been among the senators least affected by his own position, Schiff said. He has come across very much as the same person that I imagined he was before entering public service, very humble, easygoing, and grounded. Before Kaine was even chosen, though, progressives and former backers of Bernie Sanders' candidacy signaled their dissatisfaction. Kaine supporters legislation in the Senate that was key to advancing a 12-nation trade agreement that has been a priority of the Obama administration, but that both Sanders and Clinton have said they opposed. This week, liberal groups targeting Kaine for signing on 2 letters to the Obama administration seeking modifications to banking regulations that would benefit smaller and community banks. Democracy for America, a group that endorsed Kaine, cast the changes sought by Kaine and the other senators as lobbyist-driven efforts to help banks dodge consumer protection standards and regulations designed to prevent banks from destroying our economy. With this vote for fast-track authority for the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership and this newly uncovered push for bank deregulation, making Senator Tim Kaine our vice presidential candidate could be potentially disastrous for our efforts to defeat Donald Trump, the group said. Well, let's go over to the group and see exactly what the group is actually saying. Here is Democracy for America, and Democracy for America says Kaine's letter should be disqualifying for VP candidate. Yesterday, Zach Carter at the Huffington Post broke the news that while campaigning for the 2016 VP slot, Senator Tim Kaine had recently signed on to a letter calling for Fed Chairwoman Yellen and others calling for bank deregulation. Here's a response from Democracy for America Charles Chamberlain on the Senator Kaine bank deregulation letter and what it means for his standing as a potential VP candidate. And here is the letter in its entirety. Let's be real clear. It should be disqualifying for any potential Democratic vice presidential candidate to be a part of a lobbyist-driven effort to help banks dodge consumer protection standards and regulations designed to prevent banks from destroying our economy. Our presidential ticket cannot beat the billionaire bigot by simply being not Donald Trump. I'm assuming he's referring to Donald Trump as the billionaire bigot. Let me break here. Hillary Clinton has on many occasions said very racist things against black people specifically. She's called black children super predators. She has been a part of a lot of the secret operations against black people, drugging black people, poisoning black people, and ultimately killing black people, for which she apologized openly. The apology is an admission of guilt. And she's also endorsed by the KKK and said that the Grand Wizard of the KKK was a true American and an example of what a true American is. Continuing on with the letter, and she's also endorsed by the KKK. Did I already say that? Continuing with the letter, to win in November, our ticket needs to have an unquestionably strong record in the fight against income inequality, which is stupid. I mean, there's no such thing as income inequality. By definition, there is no such thing as income inequality. It would literally mean that we would have several caste systems in the United States where these people make only this, these people make this, these people make this, right, for the same job. That's what income inequality means. They are confusing income inequality with what people actually make. If I hire 10 people, which I need to do, I will make more than all of the 10 people. That's not income inequality. That's me being an entrepreneur. You could leave a comment if you want to be hired for free. I can't afford, under Obama, I cannot afford to hire 10 people. I can't afford to hire 5 people. Our ticket needs to have an unquestionably strong record in the fight against income inequality, one of the defining issues of the 2016 election, which is ridiculous. With his vote for fast-track authority for the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership and this newly uncovered push for bank deregulation, making Senator Tim Kaine our vice presidential candidate could be potentially disastrous for our efforts to defeat Donald Trump this fall. Charles Chamberlain, Executive Director, Democracy for America. And finally, from American Rising, Tim Kaine stumbles on the 1-yard line. Senator Tim Kaine is the favorite to become Hillary Clinton's running mate. This is a couple of days ago. With the announcement coming so soon, the last thing Kaine can afford is inflaming the left wing of the Democratic Party, because Clinton is already suspect among that crowd. Let me just clarify that. Hillary Clinton is not a favorite among the actual Democratic Party. That's what's so crazy about this entire election. Donald Trump is not a favorite among the Republican Party. Hillary Clinton is not a favorite among the Democratic Party. But because of politics on Hillary's part, she has steamrolled her way into the position of Democratic nominee for the Democratic Party. Donald Trump steamrolled his way into the position because he was already a household name in the United States, probably worldwide. So there was nobody else with any other name recognition in the Republican Party like Donald Trump. He's not a favorite among the Republicans, and in fact, there's an entire movement against him in the Republican Party. Hillary Clinton is a known criminal agent, but because of politics and the Clinton quote-unquote dynasty, although we pretend that we don't have such things in the United States, she has steamrolled her way into the Democratic nomination. Yet in a break with Kaine's boring nature, the Virginia senator managed to enrage liberals yesterday. That's because Kaine signed 2 letters pushing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and federal banking regulations to loosen regulations on banks. The uproar on the left swiftly followed Kaine's actions. Democracy for America, which I just read to you, called it disqualifying to Kaine's vice presidential aspirations, while the Progressive Change Campaign Committee said a Kaine pick would now deflate energy among potential donors and volunteers. So those are the rank and file Democrats and the Democratic base who will leave support of Clinton. They simply just won't vote. I don't think they'll go over to Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton is historically cautious politician. Given the volume of negative headlines Kaine has faced in the past 24 hours, the presumptive Democratic nominee must be nervous that a Kaine pick would cause many unhappy Sanders supporters to stay home in November. And let's take a look at the headlines. The Hill, liberals press Clinton not to pick Kaine for VP. New York Times, Tim Kaine seems likely for Hillary Clinton number 2, but liberals balk. Politico. Liberals lash out at Tim Kaine over banking letter. Washington Post. Liberals criticize Kaine for supporting regulations pushed by banks. New York Magazine. Clinton VP favorite just gave the left 2 more reasons to distrust him. Washington Examiner. The Hulk progressive slam Kaine as a Wall Street crony. Washington Times. Progressive warn Hillary Clinton, don't pick Tim Kaine for vice president. Huffington Post. Tim Kaine calls to deregulate banks as he campaigns to be Clinton's VP. The Intercept. Hours before Hillary Clinton's VP decision, likely pick Tim Kaine praises the TPP. The Intercept. Tim Kaine, possibly Hillary Clinton pick for vice president, goes to bat for banks. And there you have it. That's who Tim Kaine is. She couldn't have picked a worse possible running mate. She needed to pick somebody stellar, somebody shiny, somebody so squeaky clean that people would love to vote for her and her ticket. That is Tim Kaine. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.